Good morning, gang. Hey, I'm going to show you how to build a rocket today. And we're probably going to have to do this in multiple videos. So we're going to start out with the body of your rocket. So you might remember on Friday, I gave you a dowel to take home. And you put this inside your cardboard tube. Well, we're going to pull it back out. And this is for the other rocket, not the Pittsco rocket. This is the rocket I designed. So what I'm going to do before I get started is I'm going to make sure I have some Elmer's glue or any kind of school glue or white glue. If you don't have that, wood glue works. Most household glues will do what you need. I'm going to take a little piece of tape, put it in my hand. And again, if you have masking tape or scotch tape, heck, if you had duct tape, it'd probably work. So just use what you have, okay? So I'm going to get a couple pieces of tape on my hand here because this makes it easier for me because I'm going to have a bunch of things going. The first thing I want to tell you is that the rockets we're going to launch are going to be fired off of this air hose. So we take an air compressor and hook it to this end. And then we slide the rockets over this, and then when we pull it down, it fires the rocket. So we need to make the body of the rocket just slightly bigger than this diameter. And this diameter are super, super close. But this is just, it's so close that if you made your rocket the diameter of this dowel, it may not fit on the launcher. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with my first piece of paper, and I'm using pink. You can use whatever color you want. And I'm going to wrap that piece of paper around this dowel. And I'm doing it the long ways, or what you guys would call hot dog style. So I'm going to tuck that in there real good, and then I'm just going to roll this up real well, nice. And then I'm going to put a piece of tape on it. And what I'm looking for is I really want to make sure that this slides through, okay? If you go too tight, this won't slide through, and if you go too loose, it'll kind of wiggle around in there. See how that's kind of wiggling? That's no good. When we put this on here, we don't want any extra space. And if you look right there, you can see some extra space. So I'm going to wrap it a little tighter than that this time. So I'm just going to undo my tape. And this time I'm going to wrap it a little tighter. Now I guess you could probably wrap the dowel in tape first. And that would increase the diameter of the dowel. And that might be, I don't know, you could experiment with that and see if that works for you. So see how that's just, yeah, it feels good. Let's see how it feels on this launcher though. So, ooh, pretty nice. So maybe my dowel is okay. I left a little bit of room, but so you can see it fits on there nice and neat. So the next part to building my body is I'm gonna take a little piece of, a little bit of glue, and again, a little bit. If you use a lot of glue, everything just turns into a slushy mess. So I'm just gonna, oh, I gotta open it first. Gee, Mr. Hager. All right, so a little bit of glue down that seam, and a little bit of glue down that seam. And as you can see, it's a tiny, tiny amount in there. We find you sixth graders like your glue. So a little bit goes a long way. I'm gonna take a piece of masking tape that is the length of the rocket, and here's the hard part, is getting the piece of tape to stick upside down on the table. See? Oh, almost have it. I'm getting there. Oh, it's harder than it looks. There it is. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my seam, the seam of my rocket, I'm gonna place it about halfway on there. And then when I roll this, it should pull that seam in nice and neat and make it nice and flat. Now, that glue in there does a couple things. Number one, it holds that lip down so it doesn't want to unroll. And number two, it gives the body a little rigidity. It stiffens it up a little bit. So when it flies, it doesn't bow. Be careful when you have extra tape hanging on the ends like this, don't fold it into the tube because then you've changed the diameter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna trim it off or tear it off, okay? So that makes the body of my rocket. And it turned out pretty good. Looks pretty decent. I can live with that. So that is how you make the body of your rocket, okay? I'm gonna keep going and see if my camera dies or not. So there's my body of my rocket. It will take you longer than that to make it. It might take 2 or 3 or 4 tries, okay? All right, the next thing I'm gonna make is the nose cone for my rocket. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another piece of paper, and this time I'm gonna fold it hamburger style, okay? And fold that in half. It is so weird being here working without you guys. So I folded my nose cone in half, and I'm gonna put the seam facing up, and I'm gonna use my fingers and just crease that really good, okay? Because I want to fold on that seam. And here's how I make a nose cone, and this is tricky. This will take you several tries. Be patient, don't give up. I'm gonna fold my hand over the top of this side, and I'm taking my other hand and bring it over the top of it. So see how it kind of looks like a cape? I'm gonna take my 2 fingers that are in there and go like this until that hole at the top is missing. And so now I have no hole at the top, so I'm gonna take a piece of tape that was on my hand and tape that together. And now I have a nose cone. So now, I'm gonna put a little bit of glue, and again, dot, dot, not a lot, right? Remember that from the elementary school? The teachers used to say that. So I'm gonna put just a little bit of glue in there. And again, this glue is gonna hold that edge down, and it's also gonna stiffen it up. So now, I'm gonna take my tape, and I'm gonna pull a piece of tape the size of my seam again, and this time, I'm just gonna do the best I can to stick it halfway on and halfway off that seam, and then just real carefully, I have my finger inside of here so I don't crush the rocket, and I'm just gonna push that up and make sure that seam stays nice and close. I don't like to fold this over because you get a big wad of tape at the end that then when you're flying it wants to come off. So what I try to do is just trim that back as much as I can, and then whatever I can't get, I wrap over there, okay? And so I have a nice nose cone. It has almost no hole at all at the end. It has a teeny tiny, I don't know if you can see that. There's a teeny tiny hole in there, but we want that pretty small because we gotta glue this onto our body. Now, this is obviously a ridiculous looking rocket. We can't have that. So we're gonna trim this down. And so what I'm gonna do to trim it is I'm gonna flatten it out. And I usually use my pinky as a gauge. You might wanna use a little bit taller finger. And I'm gonna flatten it out, and I'm gonna make a cut. Right across like that. Now watch what happens when I unfold it. When I unfold it, the 2 sides come back up, don't they? So we're gonna do a little extra trimming, and if you do this on the table at home, all these little pieces of paper won't end up on your parents' floor, and you won't have to be picking them up all day. So you do all the taping and gluing on a table. You might want to put a piece of newspaper down so you don't get any Elmer's glue on their table. Just be super careful. And here I have a nose cone, and when you look that on there, that looks a little bit better. If you are a perfectionist and you try to get this perfectly round across the bottom, you're going to end up with a nose cone that's this big and have to start over, okay? So about like that is what we're looking for. You can see it's about the height of my pinky finger, and that works pretty well. All right, the next step. You ready for the next step? The next step is bonding the nose cone to the body. Now, there's a huge amount of air pressure that comes out of this. This is gonna have about 125 PSI, that's pounds per square inch, that comes out the end of this. So if we don't bond this really well, when we pull the trigger, the nose cone's gonna pop off and it's not gonna go anywhere. So to bond these together, we need a Kleenex, okay? And so what I'm gonna start with is I'm gonna take just the corner of the Kleenex. And what we wanna do is we wanna fill the nose cone up with Kleenex to the point where the body touches the nose cone. Does that make sense? So we're gonna stuff this in here. And what I'm looking for is a diameter of tissue that you can see. The diameter of the tissue is that about the same as the body. So now I got a little bit of tissue in there, and then I'm gonna take the rest of this Kleenex and I'm gonna tear it in half. Okay? Do you know how to make a Kleenex dance? Put a little boogie in it. All right, so now I'm gonna take my glue and I'm gonna put a little bit of glue in here. Now, one thing you need to know about Elmer's glue doesn't dry up unless it has air. And the question is, where are we going to get the air inside of this? Well, the tissue is our air. If you look at a piece of tissue under a microphone or a magnifying glass or a microscope, you'll see that it's kind of a pattern and there's air throughout it. So that air is going to dry out our glue. So I'm going to take my nose cone and my body, and you might ask a little brother, a little sister, or a parent to help you here, because you kind of got to balance this in one place. And then I'm going to take my tissue and I'm going to stuff it in around there. And then as I stuff that down, I'm going to use that tissue and the pressure that I'm putting on it to center my nose cone on my body, okay? And once I get that pushed in, I'm going to take a little bit more glue. And this is where I'm putting quite a bit more glue in than before. Before I was reading just a tiny, tiny bit. And so I put glue in there, and I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to smear that glue from the body tube across the Kleenex and up the nose cone. So just take my finger, give that a smear, okay, and work it around in there. Make sure there's no places where you can see air or holes in the tissue. I don't know if I can show you that very well, but it kind of looks like that. And then, remember that extra Kleenex? That's to wipe the glue off. Now, don't leave this sticking to a table because the glue that's in there will stick to the table. So we're going to put it, I'm going to put it on my scrap piece here, just like that, okay? All right, so I have my nose cone, I have my body, we're getting there, we're getting there close. So now I need to find a place to put this where it can stand up straight and dry. If you have a small glass or a cup at home that you could place this in, like a Dixie cup, that might work out really, really well. I don't, so I'm going to take my Kleenex box, see if that works. I'm going to lean it up against my coffee cup for now, because right behind me, I have a place to hang it up in the shop. All right, remember this little piece. Now this one doesn't have any printing on it. This is what we're going to make our fins out of, okay? So I'm going to take, and you can design your fins however you want. I'm going to do just some really simple fins here. I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to make one that kind of curves like that. And then I'm going to make two that are just triangles. And I shouldn't say just triangles. I'm going to make two triangles. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put these together while I make the final cut. Okay, and you can put as many fins on as you want. I would put at least three. Three seems to work pretty well for us. And I'm going to trim this one down. Look at the mess I'm making. I'm going to trim this one down just a little bit. Okay, and so I have my three fins. Now, to stick these fins on, I'm going to take a piece of tape, I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to put it half on the fin, half off, and I'm putting this on the side that's going to stick to the rocket. So can you see there that the tape, half of it is stuck to the fin, half is not. And I'm going to come in here real quick, and I'm going to trim that tape up, and again, I'm going to stick this tape to my hand, because when I'm all done here, it's going to be easy to take that tape and throw it in the trash can rather than pick it off the table or the floor, which Mom and Dad hate. So I'm going to stick that there, stick that there. And once it gets on your scissors, sometimes the scissors don't work as well. So, all right, so I got one fin. I'm going to do two fins. And again, half on, half off. Okay. And then I'll show you how to put these on. Okay. And there's two fins. And then I have this piece on my hand here. Let's see if it's long enough. It looks like it's going to work just fine. Okay. And I'm going to trim the back of that fin just slightly. And trim the tape up here. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my fins. And remember, for aerodynamics, we want the wide part of the fin at the bottom. Don't put them on like this. That wouldn't fly as well as this way. So I'm going to put these on as straight as I possibly can. Okay? And so I fold it out. And that's when I kind of see the pink behind it and see if it's level. So I put that on. And I'm going to seam that really well. And again, I'm using pretty old, pretty cheap tape. But just anything to hold them on. Now, I'm going to take another piece of tape. I'm going to fold that fin completely out, and I'm going to put another piece of tape down the other side. Okay? And the reason we do this, if we don't put tape down both sides, when we launch this, and there's all that air pressure, it's going to move off the launch pad, off that launcher so quick, it'll just rip the fins off. But we found that if you tape both sides, it does pretty well. Don't fold the tape over the top of the fin. So see this extra tape? We're going to cut that off. We're not going to fold it because that would be bad. Because when it starts to fly, it just rips it off and changes the aerodynamics, the whole thing, and it doesn't go where we want it to, okay? So we got there, tear that piece off. All right, so that's one fin on. And then I'm going to take the other fin, and again, I'm going to hold it up directly across from that fin. I'm getting down there as straight as I possibly can. Push the tape down, fold the fin over, get a little tape, okay? I'm going to fold that over there, and I'm going to put a little piece of tape on that side, okay? And again, I'll make sure I press it down real good so my fin doesn't fall away. See that extra tape there? If you fold it over into the hole, you will have changed the diameter of that hole, and that's no good. All right, so I'm going to trim this up real quick and get it off of there. Tear the extra piece off. Whoops, getting carried away here. And I probably should have grabbed a better pair of scissors, but hopefully you have better scissors than I have. Sitting here, I grabbed the first pair that I saw, and I think it's almost time to retire them. And then at the back here, let's just trim that off. Okay, and I might have to get after the video's over, take more time to do that. I'm afraid I'm going to run out of space on my camera here. All right, last but not least, another fin. Get on as straight as you can, and then we're going to tape that down so it's straight. And voila, we have a rocket. Now, we can't play with this rocket too much or fly it for 24 hours because remember, this is still wet and we need that to dry out real good. And so if you can put that in a Dixie cup or a small glass or anything that'll hold it straight up and down overnight, I think you'll be in pretty good shape. So this is the first rocket, the homemade rocket that I designed. And we're going to fly these when you get back as well. But do me a favor, when you're done, take a picture of your rocket and post it on the sheets presentation that slides presentation that you made for me so I can take a look at it, okay? And so that's what your rocket should look like when it's all done. I got a little trimming still to do, all right? Hey, one thing that to remember is when you're doing the glue in the nose cone, I'm going to grab another piece of paper here. And I'm going to take a pen, and let's pretend this is my nose cone, right? I'm going to put tissue down here, and then I'm going to put a layer of glue. Then I'm going to stick my body in, and then we're going to put more tissue, and then we're going to put a layer of glue, okay? And so I want to make sure that we have glue that's touching here to there, and here to here to here. And then down here, I'm trying to bond all that together with that glue, okay? So here's your next step. It's not to build the rocket. Your next step is to build another slideshow, and you and some friends remotely, don't get together to do this, remotely, create a set of directions for me using some pictures that I'm going to post on my Google Classroom, okay? So I'm going to send you guys, I don't know, I think there's 15 pictures of me making a rocket, and you're going to use those pictures to write a set of directions for me, all right? And make sure you put the names of all the kids you work with in class. Let's try to keep it to a group of, let's say a group of 3 or 4, all right? So you're going to write a set of directions. You're going to turn that in. That's one grade. Then you're going to build your rocket and take a picture of it in your slideshow, and that's another grade. And then we'll launch both rockets when we get back here. All right? All right. Have a great week. This will take you all the way until the end of spring break to do the directions and to do the rockets. So enjoy it. Have a good time, and we'll see you when we get back. All right. Bye-bye.